It was still dark when the knocking began. Not gentle. Not polite. Desperate. 3 sharp blows against the front door, the kind that doesn't ask permission. I opened my eyes to the digital clock glowing beside my bed. 4:58 a.m. My stomach tightened. No one visits at that hour unless something has gone terribly wrong. I threw on a sweater, my fingers clumsy with sudden adrenaline, and padded down the hallway of the old house I'd inherited from my grandmother. The wooden floors creaked beneath my steps, sounds I'd known all my life. But this morning they felt like warnings. Another knock. Harder. I reached the door and paused. "Who is it?" My voice came out thinner than I intended. "It's me." A low voice. Urgent. Breathless. "Ethan." I froze. Ethan Mercer. My neighbour. He'd moved in 11 months ago and had spoken to me exactly 4 times, twice about mail delivered to the wrong address, once about a fallen fence panel, and once when he'd warned me about an approaching storm. He was quiet. Polite. Observant. But never frantic. I unlocked the door. The cold pre-dawn air rushed in, and with it, the sight of him. Ethan's face was pale, jaw tight, dark hair damp like he'd run through fog or sweat. His breathing was uneven. "Don't go to work today," he said immediately. No greeting. No explanation. Just that. My heart began to pound. What? Call in. Say you're sick. Say anything. His eyes scanned the street behind me. Just stay inside. Something in his voice made my spine go rigid. "Ethan, what's going on?" He hesitated, and that hesitation frightened me more than anything. "I can't explain right now." "Then try. You'll understand by noon." The words felt rehearsed. Heavy. He stepped back slightly, lowering his voice. "Trust me, Isla." I hadn't told him much about myself. Yet he said my name like it mattered. "My name is Isla Bennett. I'm 33 years old. Senior financial risk analyst at a private investment firm downtown. Structured life. Predictable schedule. Morning coffee at 7:10. Office by 8 o'clock. Control. Order. Logic. I don't take random days off because a quiet neighbor looks shaken. But something in Ethan's eyes wasn't panic. It was fear mixed with guilt. "Why shouldn't I go?" I pressed. He swallowed. "Because if you do, you won't come home." Silence fell between us. A breeze stirred the trees lining our street. The sky was just beginning to lighten with the faintest pink. "You're scaring me," I whispered. "I know. Did something happen?" "Yes." "What?" He looked like he was about to speak, and then he stopped himself. "You have to decide right now," he said quietly. "Do you trust your routine? Or your instincts?" And before I could answer, he turned. Walked quickly back toward his house. Didn't look back. I stood in the doorway long after he disappeared. My pulse wouldn't slow. Part of me wanted to dismiss it as paranoia. Maybe he was unstable. Maybe something in his own life had spiraled. But another part, the part that had been uneasy for months, was screaming. Because strange things had been happening. 3 months ago, my father died. Official cause, stroke. But in the week before he passed, he had tried repeatedly to speak with me about something. About our family, he'd said. "It's time you knew." I had brushed it off. Dad had always been private. Quiet. An accountant with old-fashioned habits and careful words. I assumed he was going to talk about estate documents. Then he was gone. And after the funeral, things shifted. A dark sedan parked near my house more than once. Same tinted windows. Same engine idling too long. Unknown numbers calling silence on the other end. An email from an address I didn't recognize asking, "Will you be present Tuesday?" Tuesday. Today was Tuesday. My stomach dropped. I locked the door. Stood there. Thinking. If Ethan was wrong, I'd waste one vacation day. If he was right. I reached for my phone and texted my supervisor. Family emergency. I won't be in today. Sent. The house felt different immediately. Like it was holding its breath. By 11:37 a.m., I felt ridiculous. Nothing had happened. No explosions. No disasters. No mysterious vans. Just silence. I almost laughed at myself. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Ms. Bennett. The voice was calm. Professional. This is Detective Harris with County Law Enforcement. Are you aware of the incident that occurred at your workplace this morning? My body went cold. What incident? There was a violent attack at your firm's headquarters at approximately 11:12 a.m. My lungs forgot how to function. What? Several individuals injured. One deceased. The room tilted. You were reported present in the building earlier today. That's impossible. I didn't go in. There was a pause. Security footage shows your vehicle entering the parking garage at 8:03 a.m. My heart slammed against my ribs. No. Your keycard accessed the third floor at 8:07. My hand trembled. That's not possible. Can anyone verify your location this morning? The question hit like an accusation. I live alone. Silence. We'll need to speak with you in person, Ms. Bennett. Units are en route to your address. For your safety. And questioning. The call ended. My entire body felt numb. Someone had used my car. My keycard. My identity. Someone wanted me there. Or wanted it to look like I was. And if I had gone, I would have been in that building. At 11:12 a.m. When the attack happened. A realization hit so hard I nearly collapsed. This wasn't coincidence. It was orchestration. A knock sounded at the door. Not frantic. Measured. Controlled. I didn't move. Another knock. Isla. Ethan's voice. My throat tightened. How did you know? I asked through the door. Because they're not coming to protect you, he replied. They're coming to collect you. Ice spread through my veins. What does that mean? You were supposed to be in that building. I wasn't. I know. Silence. Open the door, he said quietly. We don't have much time. Every rational part of me said not to. But my instincts. They were louder. I unlocked it. Ethan stepped inside immediately and shut the door behind him. They'll claim you're a suspect, he said. They already think I was there. No, he corrected softly. They need the world to believe you were. I stared at him. Why? His jaw tightened. Because your father didn't die from a stroke. The words shattered something inside me. Don't. He was silenced. My chest constricted. Stop. And now they're coming for you. Tears burned behind my eyes, not from sadness. From rage. You're insane. I wish I were. He reached inside his jacket and pulled out a sealed envelope. My father's handwriting was on it. Isla. My hands began shaking violently. How do you have that? He gave it to me. The world stopped. When? Before he died. I stared at Ethan like I'd never truly seen him before. You knew my father? Yes. How? He asked me to move here. Everything in my life tilted sideways. He didn't trust what was coming, Ethan said quietly. He trusted me. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Closer. My heartbeat roared in my ears. Open it, Ethan urged. I did. Inside was a single sheet. If you are reading this, then I failed to stop what is unfolding. You are not in danger because of something you did. You are in danger because of what you are. Do not surrender yourself. If they take you, you will disappear. Trust Ethan the way you once trusted me. Dad. My knees nearly buckled. I looked up. What am I? Ethan's eyes held something heavy. You were never just a daughter of an accountant. The sirens grew louder. They're here, he said. Tell me. You're the final piece of a program your father tried to expose. My mind spun. What program? He hesitated only a second. A biogenetic initiative. The word echoed. No. They were trying to manufacture enhanced immunity. I shook my head. That's insane. Your father discovered your medical files were flagged before you turned 5. My breath caught. They weren't studying a disease, Isla. He stepped closer. They were studying you. And outside. Tires screeched. Car doors slammed. Men's voices. Close. Ethan grabbed my wrist. If you stay, they control the narrative. My pulse steadied strangely. Fear was gone. Clarity remained. Where do we go? I asked. He met my eyes. To the place your father hid the truth. And for the first time in my life, I stepped away from everything familiar. And toward the reason I was never meant to survive today. The sirens weren't loud anymore. They didn't need to be. Whoever was coming didn't want attention. They wanted containment. Ethan pulled me toward the back hallway instead of the front door. Not the driveway, he whispered. They'll watch that first. How do you know how they operate? I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't answer. That scared me more than anything. We moved through the kitchen. My hands brushed the countertop where I drank coffee every morning. The familiar scent of cinnamon and roasted beans clung to the air. Ordinary life. Already gone. Ethan unlocked the back door carefully and stepped out first, scanning the yard. The wind felt colder now. Sharper. Move, he urged. We crossed into his property through the narrow space between our houses. Gravel crunched under our shoes like gunshots. A black SUV turned onto my street. Then another. Tinted windows. No visible markings. They're early, Ethan muttered. You said we had minutes. We don't. We slipped into his garage just as one of the vehicles slowed in front of my house. Through the narrow slit in the garage window, I saw 2 men step out. Dark suits. Not police uniforms. One lifted a device, scanning. Recovery team, Ethan said under his breath. Recovery. Like I was equipment. He opened the driver's door of his SUV. Get in. I didn't hesitate this time. The engine roared quietly to life. He didn't back out normally. Instead, he drove forward through the rear of the garage, straight toward a concealed exit I'd never noticed before. A hidden panel slid open. My heart nearly stopped. You have a secret road. Yes. How long have you been planning this? Since before you knew you needed it. We shot out onto a narrow dirt path behind the houses just as I heard shouting from the front of my street. They'd entered my home. Too late. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. The suburban neighborhood faded behind us, replaced by long stretches of road and gray winter trees. My pulse finally caught up with my thoughts. You said they were going to collect me, I said quietly. Yes. Why not just kill me? His grip tightened slightly on the steering wheel. Because you're more valuable alive. The words chilled me. Valuable how? You've never had serious illness, have you? I blinked. No. Not even as a child. Just normal colds. He nodded slowly. Your father noticed that. I stared at him. That's not unusual. It is when your blood markers show resistance to strains most people can't fight naturally. My chest tightened. You've seen my medical records? Yes. How? I used to work inside the system. The system. Define system. He exhaled. Federal Biosecurity Division. The world tilted again. Your government. I was. And now? Now I answer to your father's last request. I looked out the window. Fields blurred past us. Tell me everything. He was silent for a long time. Then, 22 years ago, a classified initiative began under the name Project Helix Dawn. The name felt clinical. Cold. They were attempting to engineer enhanced immune resilience in select bloodlines. Engineer? I repeated. Through genetic manipulation, selective pairing, embryonic modification. My stomach churned. You're saying I was created in a lab? No. He glanced at me firmly. You were born naturally. But your genetic profile matched what they'd been trying and failing to create artificially. I couldn't breathe. They didn't make you, he said quietly. They discovered you. The words hit differently. Discovered. Like I was an artifact. My father was auditing financial irregularities tied to Helix Dawn. He found unauthorized funding streams linked to private biotech firms. The pieces began clicking together. He followed the money. Yes. And found me in the data. They'd flagged your birth records. Why? Ethan hesitated. Because your immune markers were statistically impossible. My hands went cold. That's not possible. It is if evolution moves faster in rare cases. Or if someone altered me without my parents knowing. He didn't answer. Which meant he didn't know. Or he did, and the answer was worse. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Then another. Then notifications. News alerts. My heart pounded as I opened one. Financial analyst suspected in corporate attack. A picture of me appeared beneath the headline. Taken from my company ID badge. The article claimed I'd been seen arguing with a senior executive last week. Which was true. But the argument was about budget forecasting. Now it was framed as motive. Fast, I whispered. They were prepared, Ethan replied. They're building the narrative. My throat tightened. They're turning me into a domestic threat. Yes. And if they arrest me, you disappear under national security protocol. Meaning, no trial. No oxygen. No return. We turned off the highway and onto a forested road. Dense trees swallowed the sky. Where are we going? A secure facility your father used. You mean a bunker? Yes. Why would my father have a bunker? He needed somewhere offline. Offline. Away from surveillance. Did he know they would kill him? He suspected. My chest ached. He never told me. He didn't want your behavior to change. They monitor anomalies. My entire childhood replayed in fragments. Dad insisting on routine. Dad avoiding doctors unless necessary. Dad teaching me to memorize emergency contacts instead of saving them in my phone. He wasn't paranoid. He was protecting me. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. After nearly 30 minutes, Ethan slowed. Ahead, partially hidden by overgrowth, was a reinforced steel door built into a hillside. It looked abandoned. Forgotten. But the air around it felt charged. This is it. I whispered. Yes. He parked. The engine went silent. For the first time since dawn, everything was still. No sirens. No news alerts. Just wind moving through trees. You said once we go inside, there's no going back. That's right. I swallowed. What happens after I know the truth? They'll never stop hunting you. And if I don't go in, you'll spend the rest of your life running without knowing why. Silence stretched between us. I thought about my father's note. You are in danger because of what you are, not what you did. My whole life, I'd believed I was ordinary, replaceable. A woman who analyzed risk spreadsheets. But someone powerful had built an entire operation around me. That meant one thing. I wasn't random. I was significant. And significance terrified powerful people. I stepped out of the vehicle. Cold air wrapped around me. The steel door loomed ahead. Heavy. Waiting. Ethan moved beside me. "Once you see what's inside," he said softly, "you won't be Isla Bennett the analyst anymore." "Who will I be?" He looked at me carefully. "The reason they're afraid." I inhaled slowly, then placed my hand on the cold metal surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a faint vibration pulsed beneath my palm. Recognition. The door unlocked with a deep mechanical echo. As it began to open, a strange sensation rose in my chest. Not fear. Not confusion. Recognition. Like something buried inside me was waking up. The darkness beyond the doorway didn't feel threatening. It felt inevitable. I stepped forward and crossed into the place my father died to protect. The bunker door sealed behind us with a deep metallic thud. The sound echoed down the narrow corridor like a final warning. No turning back. The air inside was colder than outside, stale, untouched. The kind of air that belongs to sealed secrets and long silences. Overhead lights flickered on automatically, casting pale white strips along concrete walls reinforced with steel beams. It didn't look like a panic room. It looked like a facility. "How long has this been here?" I whispered. "Long enough," Ethan replied. His voice sounded different in here, controlled, reverent almost. We walked down the corridor, our footsteps echoing. The deeper we went, the stronger a strange sensation grew in my chest. Not fear. Not anxiety. Recognition. My body felt aware. Like something in my blood understood this place. At the end of the hallway stood a circular vault door. Unlike the industrial steel around us, this one carried an engraved emblem. A crest. Interwoven lines forming a spiral pattern. I had seen it once before. In my father's study. On an old ring he used to wear but stopped wearing after my mother passed away. "You recognize it," Ethan said quietly. "Yes. It's not decorative." "What is it?" "Designation." My stomach tightened. Designation. Not family heritage. Classification. He gestured toward a small biometric panel beside the door. "This vault only opens for your bloodline." My pulse skipped. "You're sure?" "Your father was very specific." I hesitated. If this was wrong, nothing would happen. If it was right, everything would change. I placed my palm on the scanner. For one long second, nothing happened. Then, a soft hum. A pulse of blue light traveled beneath my skin. The scanner emitted a low chime, and the vault door began to rotate open. Slowly, deliberately, like it had been waiting decades for this moment. Cold air spilled out from within, and with it came a scent that hit me unexpectedly. Old paper. Metal. Memory. Inside was not chaos. Not scattered evidence. It was meticulously organized. A circular chamber lined with black archival boxes, each marked with alphanumeric codes. In the center stood a glass pedestal. On it rested a single leather-bound journal. My father's. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear hit the glass casing. "He kept everything here," Ethan said softly. "Offline. Untraceable." I stepped forward. My hands trembled as I lifted the protective cover. The leather felt worn. Familiar. Like it had lived in his hands for years. I opened it. The first page wasn't data. It was a letter. Written in my father's steady handwriting. "If you are reading this, then I failed to dismantle what I uncovered. But I did not fail to protect you long enough to choose your own path. You were never an accident. You were never a product. You were never their property. You were born with something they could not replicate. And that terrified them. They call it genetic anomaly. I call it evolution. You are not enhanced. You are not engineered. You are natural advancement. They discovered your immunity markers when you were 5 years old after a routine blood panel was quietly rerouted to a federal database. I did not authorize that. I did not consent. From that moment on, they monitored you. And when I found out, I made myself their enemy. If they have come for you now, it means they believe your biology is no longer just promising. It is necessary. You must understand this clearly. You are valuable because you represent survival without control. They cannot patent you. They cannot manufacture you. And they cannot allow you to exist publicly without ownership. There is a choice waiting for you in this chamber. One preserves your safety. The other exposes the truth. I cannot choose for you. But I trust you more than I ever trusted the system I once believed protected us. Whatever you decide, remember this. You were never meant to be hidden. You were meant to be proof. Dad. The page blurred through tears. He hadn't been distant. He'd been terrified. I flipped to the next section. This time, data. Charts. Immune response graphs. Comparative viral resistance studies. My name appeared repeatedly. Subject: Bennett, Isla. Designation: Natural Variant 7A. Classification: High Priority Genomic Asset. Asset. My breath hitched. They labeled you as recoverable biological property, Ethan said quietly. Property, I repeated hollowly. They were waiting for a global event, something severe enough to justify activating dormant programs. My heart pounded. Like what? He didn't answer directly. Mass outbreaks. Biosecurity emergencies. Situations where governments could suspend civil oversight. Cold dread crept up my spine. And my blood shows multi-strain resistance patterns that should not exist simultaneously. My hands shook. So what were they planning? To replicate you. The words landed like a physical blow. They can't replicate a person. They don't need to replicate you fully. Just extract, map, adapt. I backed away from the pedestal. They would experiment. Yes. They would cut me open. Yes. The honesty hurt more than lies would have. I forced myself to keep reading. The final section of the journal outlined something else. A failsafe. At the far wall of the chamber stood a control console embedded into reinforced steel. 2 illuminated panels glowed softly beneath protective glass. Ethan moved closer but did not touch anything. Your father built this with help from allies inside the oversight board, he said. Before they were silenced. What does it do? He nodded toward the panels. Left option initiates compliance protocol. It sends a signal to federal channels acknowledging voluntary surrender. In exchange, you receive classified protection status. Protection. I said bitterly. Containment. And the right. Revelation protocol. I looked at it. What does that mean? It releases every document tied to Project Helix Dawn, financial records, personnel lists, black budget trails, medical trials, to international media and encrypted public archives. I stared at the glowing button. If I press it, you become the most wanted person tied to the largest bioethical scandal in modern history. And if I don't, they take you quietly. My father trusted me to choose. My chest felt heavy. I never asked for any of this, I whispered. I know. I wanted a normal life. I know. Why me? Ethan stepped closer. Because sometimes evolution happens without permission. Silence filled the chamber. I thought about my father's death. About the false narrative already forming online. About men in suits calling me property. They wanted control of the story. They wanted to own what they couldn't create. And if I surrendered, they would erase me, rewrite me, use me. I wiped my tears, walked to the console. My reflection stared back at me in the polished surface. Not a victim. Not a spreadsheet analyst. Not an asset. A choice. I lifted the protective glass over the right panel. Revelation protocol. My hand hovered. Ethan didn't speak. Didn't guide. Didn't interfere. This was mine. I pressed it. A low vibration rippled through the chamber. Screens flickered to life across the walls. Encrypted data began transmitting. File after file. Names. Contracts. Medical logs. Funding transfers. Everything my father died protecting. There's no undoing that, Ethan said softly. I know. Alarms suddenly erupted throughout the bunker. Red lights flashed. They've detected outbound data breach, Ethan said sharply. How long? Minutes. Helicopter blades thundered faintly overhead. They had tracked us. Of course they had. But this time, they weren't chasing silence. They were chasing exposure. And exposure spreads faster than bullets. For the first time since dawn, I wasn't afraid. Because I finally understood something. They weren't hunting me because I was dangerous. They were hunting me because I was uncontrollable. And now, the truth was uncontrollable too. Ethan grabbed my arm. We have to move. As we ran toward the exit tunnel, the bunker trembled slightly from the force of helicopters landing nearby. Searchlights cut through the trees outside. But something inside me felt steady. Awake. Not enhanced. Not engineered. Just undeniable. They had tried to turn me into a weapon. But my father had turned me into evidence. And evidence changes history. The moment the data goes public, the world explodes. Major news networks interrupt programming. Leaked documents tied to Project Helix Dawn begin trending globally. Whistleblower forums verify encrypted files. Financial trails connect biotech corporations to high-ranking officials. Within hours, Isla Bennett is no longer a suspect in a corporate attack. She is the center of an international bioethical scandal. But exposure doesn't stop the hunters. It enrages them. Government statements label the leaks as fabricated cyberterrorism. A warrant is issued for Isla's arrest under national security violations. Her face appears everywhere. Helicopters track forest movement. Drones scan thermal signatures. Ethan drives through back routes while encrypted messages flood his secure device. Allies are resurfacing, he tells her. Your father wasn't alone. For the first time, Isla realizes something critical. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about control of the future. While hiding in a safe location provided by one of her father's former contacts, Isla undergoes independent medical analysis. The results confirm what the program discovered years ago. Her immune system isn't artificially modified. It's naturally adaptive. Her blood regenerates damaged cells at an accelerated rate. She shows resistance to multiple viral mutations previously thought unrelated. She is not a product of the experiment. She is proof the experiment was unnecessary. That's why they fear her. Because if humanity can evolve without control, then governments and corporations lose leverage over global health crises. Isla breaks down that night, not from fear, but from grief. Her father didn't die protecting a secret. He died protecting hope. Officials attempt damage control. Private media outlets discredit the leaks. A falsified psychological profile of Isla is released, painting her as unstable and radicalized. But the documents are too detailed. Too precise. Independent scientists verify the authenticity of the genomic data. Public outrage builds. Protests begin outside biotech headquarters. Former employees step forward anonymously, confirming illegal human trials. The narrative shifts. Now the powerful are on defense. And that makes them dangerous. A covert recovery team is deployed again, this time not to capture quietly, but to eliminate permanently. Ethan discovers something critical. A classified order has been signed. Asset termination approved. They have decided Isla is too exposed to recover. She must be erased. Instead of running again, Isla makes a final decision. She records a public broadcast. Not from hiding, but live. She reveals her full medical data. Her identity. Her father's investigation. The attempt to frame her. She doesn't speak like a weapon. She speaks like a human being. I am not property. I am not an asset. And neither are you. The broadcast spreads faster than any suppression order. And something unexpected happens. They hesitate. Because killing her now would confirm everything. The program collapses under global investigation. Arrests begin. Not of her. Of them. Months later, Isla stands before a global bioethics council. Not as a specimen. Not as evidence. But as a consultant. Her biology is studied with consent. Her father's name is cleared publicly. And Ethan. He stays. Not as her handler. But as the man who chose to protect her when the system wouldn't. Isla never wanted to be special. But she learned something powerful. They feared her not because she was dangerous. They feared her because she proved humanity doesn't need control to survive. And that truth is stronger than any classified program.